American Honey is the newest film from director Andrea Arnold, who has previously brought us films such as Red Road, Fish Tank, Wuthering Heights, and the Oscar-winning short film Wasp. She's a British director, and this is her first ever film in the United States. And American Honey is a road movie that follows a group of kids who are in a mag crew where they, basically go across the Midwest in a van just selling magazines and, staying in hotels to pretty much make it from day to day. The first character we meet in this film is Star, wonderfully played by newcomer Sasha Lane. And basically she's in a home life situation that isn't exactly great. And she sees these group of kids who are just, wild and crazy and just seem to be living, a very intriguing life to her. Typical of Andrea Arnold's style, a lot of the cast here are unknowns, sprinkled in with a couple, people such as Riley Keough, I hope I'm saying that correctly, as well as I know McCall Lombardi is, starting a little bit of an acting career. He's got some other credits, and of course everyone knows who Shia LaBeouf is. But other than that, most of these kids, are pretty much just plucked off the street. And it's a choice that really pays off. It really helps create the feel of just everything being so real and these just being, normal young people in this situation. As I already said, Sasha Lane as Star was fantastic. And the story is that Andrea Arnold actually found her on spring break at a beach and just approached her and had her do an audition, and then she ended up becoming the star of this movie, and she is wonderful. And Shia LaBeouf is fantastic in this movie. Sadly, I don't see him really getting any sort of Oscar buzz. I haven't heard any buzz around his name, but he should be. He deserves a nomination for this movie. He's wonderful. Easily the best performance of his career. Now, this movie is somewhat of a bleak portrait about, poor young people in America. So instantly you have the comparisons to Larry Clark films, such as Kids. Now, do I think it really falls into the same category as a film like Kids? Not entirely. Yes, it's about, young, kids who don't have a lot of money, who are just kind of, living very free and just doing kind of whatever they want. But the big difference is that I think you're actually going to like the kids in this movie. Now, I want to go ahead and jump into two things that are very unique to this movie and the things that people will probably be talking about a lot. One, there's a lot of music in this movie, and it's used phenomenally. I mean, it is the beating heart of this film, and it's just wonderful to be a part of. And if you're not so much into that aspect of the film, it's going to hinder the experience a lot for you, because I'm telling you, there are a lot of songs in here that, they're not, played over the scene, like they're playing in the scene. And most of these songs, the kids are singing along with them. And a lot of this film takes place of them singing these songs in a van. Which leads me to my second thing, is that for a large part of this movie, yes, you are in a van. And some people may not love that. It may be kind of claustrophobic, especially considering the huge runtime of this film, which is 2 hours and 43 minutes. And I think the runtime is going to be one of the things that, definitely splits people here. And I am happy to say that I am very much on the side of for this movie being as long as it was. I could have gone for it being, another hour long. When we walked out of the movie, we, couldn't even believe that it had actually been 2 hours and 40 minutes had passed. It felt like an hour and 40 minutes. There were so many scenes in this movie that I felt could have gone wrong and were just handled so well. And to go back to the thing I said about a film like Kids, this movie is better than Kids. And what makes it better is what I said earlier about the fact that this movie has a heart. It's able to show a bleak portrait, but also and semi-optimistically, and just, you know, focus on the good of people and the good of these young people and what, you know, they're just trying to make it from day to day, basically. You know, they're doing what they do just so they can, you know, do it again tomorrow. And the moments they share when they sing these songs, and the just beauty Andrea Arnold is able to get out of each and every one of her cast members, even ones that maybe have like 1 or 2 lines, is absolutely fantastic. I felt connected to each and every one of them by the end of the movie. To go back to one thing I said earlier, yes, there's one certain sing-along scene at the end of the movie where, and I won't spoil it, but it's near the end. It's not the last song played, but just as they're all singing, I'm just looking at every single one of them in the van and just realizing how each and every one of them is just a beautiful, unique, amazing young individual. And, you know, they're nothing special. They're just kids. But the ability to get me to see that out of them is just wonderful filmmaking. Okay, so again, a couple of the scenes that were handled very well that I love. There's a certain scene with a truck driver that I won't spoil. There's a certain scene where they go to try to sell magazines to these guys who, you know, are oil guys, and, you know, I won't spoil what happens from that either, but that scene could have been so cliche. It could have, you know, just been such a, like, warning to young people, or a sad, just ridiculously sad moment, but it handles it differently. There aren't really bad people in this movie. There's just people. This movie contained so many just scenes in which I was just, you know, looking up at the screen and just smiling, and that is always the sign of a fantastic movie, in my opinion. So, coming to the end of this review, if you're wondering, is this going to be the first 5-star review from More Reviews? Well, it